So if you're running an e-commerce business or you're just really interested in online sales, are you maybe looking for the best way to um, drive growth with Google Ads without feeling totally lost in all the options?
Yeah, if that sounds like you, then, well, you're in the right place.
Today on the deep dive, we're really getting stuck into Google Ads. Specifically, we're looking at Google Performance Max versus, the traditional search campaigns for e-commerce.
Yeah.
How do they actually stack up?
Exactly. And the goal here is to sort of cut through the jargon. We'll break down the main differences, look at some real world performance figures, and hopefully give you some strategic insights, help you figure out which way to go or maybe how to combine them for your business.
Absolutely. We want to give you clear, actionable stuff, none of the marketing fluff. And we're doing this by looking at insights from a blog post that did this exact comparison. And the really valuable bit, it uses actual sales data from an e-commerce brand. Some really compelling numbers in there.
Having that real data makes all the difference, doesn't it? So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward. Are Performance Max or search campaigns better for driving e-commerce sales? And maybe more importantly, why?
Okay, let's unpack that then. To figure out what's best for you, we first need to be really clear on how they actually differ. Let's start with one most people know, Google search campaigns. What's the core idea there?
Right, search campaigns, they're really all about keyword targeting. So you, the advertiser, pick specific keywords, could be broad match, exact match, phrase match, things you think your customers are actually typing into Google.
So you get quite a lot of control over when your ads show up,
You do. Significant control over the search triggers.
which sounds perfect for catching people right when they're looking to buy something specific, that sort of bottom of the funnel, high intent customer.
Precisely. Search campaigns are brilliant for that high intent traffic. They directly answer that need the user's expressing right then and there. Okay, so now let's contrast that with Google Performance Max campaigns. They work quite differently, don't they?
Oh, completely different. Performance Max is, well, it's all about automation, really. It's Google's kind of unified campaign type. It pulls ad inventory from, well, everywhere across Google Search, Display, YouTube, Gmail, Discover, Shopping, all in one campaign.
And the level of automation is pretty striking. Instead of managing keywords meticulously, you feed it creative assets, your images, videos, text, plus audience signals, like maybe your customer list, to give Google a clue about your ideal buyer. And for e-commerce, crucially, your product feed.
Right.
Then Google's AI, its machine learning, basically takes the reins. It decides where, when, and how to show your ads across all those different places to get you the best results.
Okay, so it's less about you picking the exact search terms and more about giving Google the ingredients, the creative, the audience info, the products, and letting its AI figure out the best recipe for reaching the right people.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Okay, that gives us a good handle on the basic differences. Now let's get into those real numbers we talked about. What did the blog post find when it compared them using actual sales data?
Yeah, so the data is from an anonymous e-commerce brand. They shifted their budget between Performance Max and Standard Search over 3 months, August to October 2024. It gives a really interesting snapshot of what happened when they made that change.
Right, let's hear it. What about August 2024? What was the baseline before they really started tweaking things?
Okay, August. They had 11,723 website sessions that led to 296 orders, and total sales came in at 8,685 point ARNs and 18. The overall conversion rate that month was 2.45%.
2.45%. Okay, got it. That's our starting point. So what happened in September as they started to, shift things around?
September showed some pretty decent growth. Sessions went up 23% to 13,933. Orders jumped quite a bit more, up 44% to 415. And total sales saw a really healthy 37% increase, hitting 11,598.73%.
So strong month all around. More visitors, more orders, more money, better conversion. Okay. But October is where it gets really interesting, I gather, because the traffic trend flipped.
That's right. October is fascinating. Website sessions actually dropped by 30%, down to 9,768.
Dropped. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the key bit, despite fewer visitors, orders kept climbing, up another 22% to 522. And total sales, another good jump, 29%, reaching 15,358.44.
That's amazing. So fewer people coming to the site, but the ones who did were much, much more likely to buy, leading to significantly more revenue.
Exactly. And the conversion rate really tells that story. It soared by 32%, hitting 3.86%.
Incredible. That really screams quality over quantity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the blog post linked this October uplift directly to putting more budget into Performance Max. Is that right?
That's the strong implication, yes. Shifting more budget towards Performance Max seems to be the key driver behind these results. And what's really telling are the efficiency gains. Think about it, 30% fewer sessions, but 29% more sales, and a 32% better conversion rate.
Which translates directly to lower cost per sale, better ROAS.
Absolutely. Lower CPA, much healthier return on ad spend.
So it really feels like Performance Max was just better at finding the right people, even if it meant fewer visitors overall. How did it manage that, according to the analysis?
Well, the post suggests that Performance Max, using its AI, was dynamically putting ads across the placements that were actually converting, well, think Google Shopping, maybe YouTube, Gmail, display ads, based on its prediction of who was likely to buy.
Ah, okay. So instead of maybe spending on broader search terms that attract window shoppers?
Exactly. It shifted the focus towards audiences that Google's system identified as being, much further down that purchase path, more ready to actually buy.
That makes a lot of sense. Less wasted spend on tire kickers, more focus on genuine potential buyers.
Precisely. By relying less on you manually bidding on keywords, which always involves a bit of guesswork, right? And letting Performance Max smartly spread the budget across different touchpoints with higher commercial intent, the brand just reached better fit customers. Less manual effort and a lower cost per sale at the end of the day.
So the big takeaway from this real-world example, a smaller but much more targeted, machine learning curated audience turned out to be way more profitable than just chasing a larger volume of potentially less interested traffic.
Spot on. It really shows the power of letting the algorithms find those high-intent folks across the whole Google network.
Okay, those numbers are definitely making a strong case. But let's dig a bit deeper into why Performance Max seems to be such a game changer for e-commerce. The blog post mentioned a few key things, starting with reaching people across the whole funnel. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, that's a really important point. Performance Max kind of breaks down the old advertising silos. Search campaigns, they mostly hit people when they're actively searching, right?
Right.
Performance Max lets your brand show up when people are just browsing websites on the display network or watching YouTube videos, scrolling their Discover feed, even checking Gmail. It creates this multi-touch point experience.
So it's not just about being there when someone types in a keyword, but staying visible, staying relevant throughout their whole journey online, even when they're not in active buy mode.
Exactly that. And that's so crucial for e-commerce because, let's face it, buying decisions are rarely just see, search, buy. People might spot a product on YouTube, maybe read about it later on a blog, then perhaps a week later they finally search for it. Performance Max helps you be present in more of those moments.
Keeping your brand top of mind.
Yeah, building that familiarity, building trust through multiple encounters. So it can actually reach potential customers before they've even started actively searching, kind of pulling them into your world earlier.
Which could shorten the time it takes them to decide to buy.
That's the idea. By being strategically visible where people spend time online, you can potentially shorten that decision cycle, increase the chance they convert later. It's about being there when influence happens, not just waiting for the final search.
Makes sense. Okay, another advantage highlighted was the asset diversity and creative automation. How's that different from standard search?
Oh, it's a massive difference. Search campaigns, they mostly rely on text ads, right? Your headlines, your descriptions.
Yeah, the ones you write manually?
Performance Max gives you a much bigger toolkit. You upload images, videos, your product feed, which is essential logos, different call to action buttons,
Yeah.
a whole range of creative assets.
And then Google's system just mixes and matches these, creates ads on the fly for different places.
That's exactly it. Dynamically puts them together to fit the format, fit the placement. And for e-commerce, this is huge because showing your products visually how they look, the style, the features, that's often what seals the deal. A really good image or a short video showing the product in use can say so much more than text, especially if you're reaching someone who wasn't actively looking for it but might be open to discovering it.
Yeah, visuals connect emotionally. They show the value proposition more clearly, show the product in context, which is vital if you're not just relying on that immediate search intent.
Precisely. Like on YouTube, you could show a demo or a customer review. On display, a great product shot grabs attention while scrolling. In Gmail, maybe a catchy headline plus an image drives the click. Performance Max automates putting the right creative in the right place.
Without you having to manually create hundreds of different ad versions.
Exactly. It gets more mileage out of your creative library, boosts relevance, boosts engagement, which, of course, the algorithms love and use to optimize further.
So it basically Amplifies your creative impact, helps you cut through the noise, connect visually, and hopefully drive more conversions.
That's the goal. Drive higher conversions at scale.
Okay. And the third big point was this idea of intent plus discovery, higher sales quality. We saw that in the October data, right? That massive conversion rate jump despite fewer visitors. How does PMAX get that laser focus?
Yeah, that 3.86% conversion rate in October is really telling. It shows Performance Max's power to go beyond just traffic volume and really zero in on people who are much more likely to actually buy something.
Yeah.
It flips the old logic, doesn't it? It's not just how many visit, but who is visiting.
Right, the quality of the visitor. So how does the automation figure that out with such precision? Is it just keywords?
No, that's the key difference. It's not just keywords like in traditional search. Performance Max looks at a much, much broader range of signals. We're talking user behavior patterns across Google, what content they engage with, their past purchase history, demographics, even contextual things happening around them.
Wow, okay, so it's building a much richer picture of someone's potential intent.
Exactly. This huge array of data points lets the algorithm identify and target people who aren't just browsing, but seem genuinely primed to make a purchase, even if they haven't typed in your specific keyword right now.
Which is very different from a standard keyword campaign that just targets anyone searching a relevant term, regardless of their broader behavior.
Precisely. A manual campaign might cast that wide net. Performance Max tries to focus your budget and your ad delivery on those individuals, showing stronger commercial intent through all their online signals.
Leading to better returns, leaner traffic, lower acquisition costs, more profit.
Ultimately, yes. It's just a smarter, more efficient way to spend your ad budget, optimizing for the actual action, not just the click.
Okay, Performance Max sounds incredibly powerful. But the blog post didn't say ditch search entirely, did it? It mentioned search still has its place. What are those key strengths?
No, absolutely not ditch search. It definitely still has value. Firstly, search gives you that really precise control. You choose the exact keywords, you write the exact ad message. That's super useful if you sell, say, very niche products, or if you already know exactly which keywords convert like crazy and you want total control over them.
Right, for those really specific long-tail searches where you know the intent is crystal clear. Makes sense. What else?
Secondly, testing. Search campaigns give you much more granular control for A/B testing. You can really dig into different match types, different ad copy versions, specific bidding strategies, all in a very controlled way.
Which you don't get quite as much with Performance Max, because the algorithm is doing more of the heavy lifting. It's more of a black box in some ways.
Yeah, that's a fair description sometimes. Performance Max is powerful but less transparent in its moment-to-moment decisions compared to manual search testing.
Okay. And the third advantage mentioned was around branded searches and maybe competitor terms.
Exactly. Search is often still the best tool for defending your own brand name and search results, making sure you show up when people search for you directly. And also for strategically targeting people searching for your competitors. Plus, it's great for mopping up any very specific high-intent searches that maybe PMax doesn't prioritize quite as much on its own.
So search acts as a really valuable, targeted complement to the broader reach of PMax. Which leads us nicely to the overall strategic recommendation in the post. Scale smarter, using Performance Max as the core. What does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah, the core idea is shifting your main focus. Instead of just chasing traffic volume, you prioritize where scalable sales really come from today. And the recommendation is, for most e-commerce businesses, that means leaning heavily on Performance Max as your primary growth engine.
Why is that? Why not just stick with search if it works?
Well, the reality is, unless you're in a super, super niche market with very predictable search demand, relying only on search often hits a ceiling. You're limited by how many people are actually searching those specific terms. CPCs can get really competitive, and you often find you hit diminishing returns. It gets harder and harder to scale profitably just with search.
Okay, so the strategy is use Performance Max as the main driver because it goes beyond just search intent.
Exactly. Use PMax to tap into discovery, user interests, all those behavioral signals we talked about. Let it serve ads when people are most likely receptive, even if they're not actively searching right then. You feed it the good stuff, your product feed, audience data, great creative, and let the machine learning figure out the best placements across YouTube, Gmail, shopping, display, the lot.
So it finds customers earlier, but also converts those ready to buy now.
That's the power of it. That blend of prospecting and direct conversion in one campaign, that's where the real efficiency and scalability often lie.
And then search campaigns become more Surgical.
Precisely. Highly focused tools. Use them for your branded traffic essential. Use them for those really specific bottom of funnel searches where intent is undeniable. Maybe cover off specific high performing keywords you know work well. And use them to make sure there's no cannibalization, ensuring you've got strong coverage on those must win high intent queries.
So PMAX casts the wider, smarter net across the ecosystem, and search makes sure you definitely catch the fish that swim right up to the boat and protect your brand space. That October example really brings this hybrid approach to life, doesn't it? More PMAX focus, targeted search, lower traffic, but boom, way more sales and better conversion.
It really does illustrate it perfectly. It's about trusting the automation, but trusting it because it's looking beyond just keywords. It's focusing on who people are, how they behave online, and when they're most likely to actually buy something. For most e-commerce businesses selling a range of products, this blended approach is just a much more realistic and frankly cost-effective path to proper growth than just getting into endless keyword bidding wars.
Let the machines optimize delivery to actual buyers wherever they are.
That's the essence of it.
Right, so wrapping this up then. The big message isn't really PMAX or search, is it? It's more about understanding how people actually shop online now.
Correct. And the data, like the example we discussed, strongly suggests Performance Max should probably be the backbone of your scalable, cost-effective growth strategy because it taps into intent signals right across the Google ecosystem before, during, and after someone searches.
Its ability to find those high-value buyers you might otherwise miss seems key.
Definitely. And that example, rising sales, better conversion, even with fewer sessions, that's the sign of an optimized system finding the right people.
But search still has its role.
Absolutely. Powerful for capturing existing demand, nailing specific keywords, but it has limits for broad, sustainable growth, especially as most e-commerce brands aren't that niche. Relying only on specific search terms just isn't enough usually.
So the direction of travel is clear. Embrace that full funnel view. Leverage the automation. Focus on great creative delivery across all the touch points.
That sums it up well. Prioritize Performance Max as your growth engine. Use search strategically alongside it. And crucially, feed the algorithms, the good data quality product feeds, smart audience signals, diverse creative assets. Give it the fuel it needs.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Think about how fully embracing this kind of automation, this full funnel approach, could potentially unlock customer segments you haven't reached before and drive growth you haven't maybe even imagined for your business yet. What experiments could you run to start testing this shift? It's something to really mull over as you continue your own deep dive.